Hello and welcome to Dinar Daily, where we track the conversations and developments surrounding the Iraqi dinar. Today, we are examining a significant volume of reports and chatter circulating within financial observation circles. These discussions are intensely focused on the Iraqi dinar, with numerous sources alleging that new activity is being detected behind the scenes in ways that have not been previously observed. The sheer volume of these claims has elevated this topic, with many suggesting this is the most significant period of discussion for currency watchers in recent memory. The focus of these conversations is a series of unconfirmed reports, claiming that the wait for a specific signal may be drawing to a close. Based on information allegedly sourced from financial insiders. The central claim that is currently igniting these discussions is the reported appearance of live Iraqi dinar, or IQD, rates on internal banking screens. It is crucial to differentiate these reports from mere rumors or unverified leaks. The assertions being made are that these are active, back-end numerical values purportedly connected to global foreign exchange systems. These are not figures appearing on public websites or retail trading apps, but rather, according to these sources, within the restricted access environments that financial institutions use for internal operations. This distinction is at the heart of why these reports are gathering so much attention from those who follow these specific financial topics. What makes these reports particularly noteworthy are the values being cited. The unconfirmed figures are not the fractional values often associated with speculation, but are being described as dollar-level valuations. According to these numerous reports, the numbers visible on these alleged back-end systems are fluctuating, with some sources claiming to have seen ranges between $3.80 and even as high as $4.25 per single dinar. This specific detail is what is driving the intense conversation, as it presents a stark contrast to the long-standing official rate, which has remained for years in the vicinity of 1,300 dinars to one United States dollar. The significance of these reports, if they were to be substantiated, is being heavily analyzed by observers. The interpretation being put forward by many is that these alleged early-lived internal rates could represent the first tangible evidence that Iraq's long-discussed currency re-evaluation plan might be transitioning from a phase of internal theoretical testing to one of actual, live integration within the global banking framework. To fully grasp why this specific development is considered so pivotal by those who track it, one must look at the broader context of Iraq's economic trajectory over the last several years and the steps taken to modernize its financial infrastructure. To understand the foundation of these ongoing discussions, we must look back at the narrative of Iraq's economic transformation. Over the past 2 decades, the country has been on a path to move from instability toward becoming a more significant regional economic player. This narrative is heavily reliant on the nation's vast natural resources. Iraq is known to hold some of the largest proven oil reserves on the planet, which is complemented by immense stores of natural gas, various minerals, and gold. These assets form the basis of the economic potential that has been the subject of speculation and analysis for many years. In recent years, the key focus has been the reported efforts by the Iraqi government, in coordination with international organizations, to strengthen its currency system. This has included measures aimed at stabilizing inflation and, crucially, building a substantial reserve base. The Central Bank of Iraq, often referred to as the CBI, now officially holds foreign currency reserves reported to be in excess of $100 billion. This massive reserve level is frequently cited by economic commentators as a powerful tool, giving the central bank significant leverage to support and maintain a potentially higher exchange rate for its national currency for many years. The CBI has also been reportedly engaged in a quiet but comprehensive modernization of its financial systems. This includes, according to numerous reports, connecting its banking sector to international clearing networks, which is a vital step for seamless global transactions. Furthermore, there has been a significant push to create new digital payment frameworks within the country, moving away from a cash-based society. These steps also involve preparing for cross-border transaction compatibility. According to analysts, every one of these reported actions has pointed toward a singular, long-term objective: fostering a stronger, more flexible, and globally recognized Iraqi dinar. This brings us to a more recent and fascinating development in this story. The Central Bank of Iraq itself recently confirmed, through official channels, that a new exchange rate framework has officially gone live, specifically inside their own banking infrastructure. While the announcement was brief and technical in nature, it reportedly described this new system as one that permits rate flexibility and facilitates real-time adjustments between the Iraqi dinar and other global currencies. These specific phrases have been seized upon by analysts as being particularly powerful and indicative of a major policy shift. What this official confirmation means in practice, according to many financial interpretations, is that the IQD may no longer be operating as a strictly fixed or pegged currency. Instead, the country is perceived to be moving toward what is known as a controlled float. This is a system where a currency's value is permitted to adjust, often gradually and within a specific, managed range in response to market conditions. Much like many other major global currencies operate, this framework would theoretically give Iraq's central bank the dynamic ability to respond to changing economic circumstances. A significant departure from its previous static policy when one combines this new, officially announced framework of a controlled float with other known factors. A clearer picture emerges of why the current reports are gaining traction. Iraq's rising oil exports, the establishment of new regional partnerships, and massive growth in trade all contribute to a positive economic outlook. This combination of factors, according to many observers, creates the perfect setup for a potential historic revaluation moment. Therefore, the unconfirmed reports of live rates on back-end screens are being interpreted by some as the possible first activation phase of this long-anticipated economic plan. Inside Iraq, there are also field reports circulating that add another layer to this narrative. Local branches of several major banks have allegedly been notified to update their internal exchange rate software. Multiple unverified reports from contacts on the ground suggest that tellers and other internal staff were given instructions to refresh their rate databases. They were also told to prepare for potential rate adjustments that might appear within their systems in the coming days. This specific action is not seen as something that would happen randomly or without cause. In the view of banking analysts, financial institutions do not typically update their core internal exchange modules on a mass scale unless there is a significant technical change or new data incoming from the Central Monetary Authority. In this case, that authority would be the Central Bank of Iraq. This internal activity is therefore seen as a strong correlating signal that aligns with the CBI's own recent announcements about its new, flexible rate framework. It suggests a technical preparedness for a change, even if that change has not yet been made public. Alongside these developments within Iraq, there are parallel reports concerning large United States-based banks. Institutions such as Bank of America and Wells Fargo, according to some sources, have reportedly updated their foreign currency platforms. Specifically, it is claimed that they have removed a inactive or non-transactional label that was previously associated with IQD listings on their internal systems. While this is a subtle change, its interpretation is significant. It is seen as an indicator that these major banks are positioning their systems to be ready for live transaction capability. This alleged behind-the-scenes synchronization is being described by many longtime observers as fitting the exact pattern of how global currency transitions typically unfold. The general public may not see any changes on public-facing websites or currency apps, but the financial institutions themselves must prepare in advance. This preparation ensures that once a new rate becomes officially visible worldwide, the complex infrastructure required to handle what could be massive transaction volumes is already in place, tested, and ready to function immediately. It is also important to address the question of why now, and why the year 2025 is being pinpointed in many of these discussions. Economically, the country has reportedly aligned itself with several new international initiatives. Reports indicate Iraq has signed significant oil and infrastructure contracts with nations like China and India. It has also allegedly joined various digital settlement systems that allow for trade in multiple currencies, reducing reliance on a single currency. Furthermore, Iraq has been actively pursuing membership in the World Trade Organization, a major step toward global reintegration. These moves are all seen as supporting a long-term strategy of re-engaging with the global economy on a new footing. At the same time, the government is reported to have passed significant anti-corruption reforms. One of the most critical, according to international observers, has been the granting of full autonomy to the central bank over monetary decisions. This separation from direct political influence has been a major milestone and a key demand from international bodies for many years, as it builds confidence in the stability and independence of the nation's financial stewardship. On top of these policy and trade developments, there is the matter of hard assets. Reports indicate that Iraq's gold reserves have been steadily and quietly increasing over recent years. This move is interpreted as positioning the country for a potential asset-backed approach to its currency strength. When a nation combines immense oil wealth, growing trade integration, and demonstrable financial independence, it begins to gain the confidence of foreign investors. That confidence, in turn, is what is needed to sustain a higher currency value over the long term. This is precisely the scenario that many observers believe they are seeing take shape right now. Adding another layer of intrigue to the timing of these events, there has been a quiet but consistent increase in reports of coordination between Iraq and the United States Treasury Department. Just 2 weeks ago, according to these reports, a Treasury delegation was present in Baghdad. The purpose of this visit was reportedly to review the country's progress on monetary reforms. During this visit, they allegedly met with high-level officials from both the CBI and the senior government leadership, while no detailed public statements were released about the specifics of these meetings. Sources indicated that the meetings went extremely well. The discussions reportedly included complex topics such as rate flexibility, upgrades to compliance systems to meet international standards, and the technical connectivity between Iraq's financial systems and the global networks. The timing of this is what has captured the attention of so many. Within days of this reportedly successful meeting, we are now seeing the surge of reports about live test rates appearing across multiple banking-backed dashams. It is difficult for many analysts to ignore this sequence of events. The close timing strongly suggests to them that Iraq may have received a green signal or approval from key international partners to begin this long-awaited adjustment process. The apparent synchronization between domestic policy reform, positive international cooperation, and the sudden appearance of back-end technical activity points toward a carefully coordinated rollout. It suggests a plan that has potentially been years in the making is now moving into an operational phase. As these developments continue to unfold, many analysts who follow this topic believe we are entering the first stage of a two-phase process. The first stage, which appears to be what is being reported now, is the internal activation. During this phase, the rates allegedly go live within government, banking, and institutional systems, but they are not yet accessible to or visible by the general public. This is described as the critical testing and synchronization period, ensuring all systems are communicating correctly before a public unveiling. The second stage, according to this analysis, would be the international release. This is the moment when those same rates, having been tested and stabilized internally, would become visible on public foreign exchange feeds, such as those run by XE, ONDA, and other major currency tracking platforms. Typically, analysts note, once back-end tests are concluded successfully, the transition to public visibility can happen quickly. This transition could theoretically happen within hours or perhaps within a few days, which is why the current reports are being monitored so intensely. The key thing to remember is that what is being reported now are live rates, not just placeholder codes or static test numbers. This detail, if true, would mark the first time in many years that Iraq's currency appears to be functionally and dynamically moving within the confines of the global systems. This claim alone is a significant breakthrough in the long-running narrative of the Iraqi dinar, and it has reignited global attention on this story from observers who have been following it for years. Let's talk about what these reports and discussions mean for ordinary holders of the currency. If the new rates that are currently visible internally, according to these reports, eventually go public, the financial implications would be enormous. For example, commentators are running hypotheticals, noting that someone holding 1 million dinar at a theoretical exchange rate of $4 per dinar would be looking at $4 million before any taxes or exchange fees. This is the kind of life-changing potential that has kept people engaged with this topic for so long. However, it is essential to stay realistic and informed, and experts are urging caution. Any official revaluation process would include several formal steps. This includes official verification of the currency, taxation according to the laws of the holder's country, and various compliance steps, such as anti-money laundering checks. Currency exchanges would almost certainly be processed through regulated financial institutions, and individuals would likely need to follow formal procedures, which might include appointments and extensive documentation. This is why experts are urging everyone to remain calm. In fact, one of the primary warnings circulating alongside these reports is to be cautious of misinformation. During sensitive phases like this, whenever major currency news surfaces, fake websites, scam emails, and fraudulent phone calls often begin to circulate. These scams claim to offer early exchanges or exclusive rates and are designed to exploit the excitement. Viewers are strongly encouraged to verify any information directly through official sources only. It is advised to avoid sharing personal data with any unverified parties and to wait for clear public instructions from the Central Bank of Iraq or recognized mainstream international banks. As we continue to monitor the situation surrounding the Iraqi dinar, there is another piece of the puzzle that observers are keeping a close eye on: Vietnam. The Vietnamese dong or VND has been mentioned in connection with the IQD for years. There has been long-standing speculation that both countries were following similar currency reform schedules. According to some of the same unconfirmed back-end system reports that show activity for the Iraqi dinar, and there are also alleged test rate updates appearing for the Vietnamese dong. These unconfirmed values for the VND, though not yet substantiated, are reportedly appearing in ranges between $2.85 and $3.20. If both Iraq and Vietnam were to activate new, higher rates within a close time frame, it could mark what is being described as a dual revaluation event. This is something economists have quietly anticipated as part of a potential wider realignment in emerging markets. The synchronized timing would make sense to some analysts, as both nations are reportedly shifting their economies. What is particularly striking to observers about the year 2025 is how rapidly the world's financial architecture appears to be evolving. Around the globe, nations are testing central bank digital currencies, increasing their gold-backed systems, and developing new forms of interbank settlement that bypass older networks. Inflation concerns, geopolitical shifts, and global debt pressures have all acted as accelerators for these changes. In this dynamic environment, Iraq's decision to modernize and strengthen its currency is seen as positioning it as a regional leader in economic reform. This potential move could, in the view of economists, attract massive foreign investment into the country, which would in turn drive infrastructure growth and give Iraqi citizens greater purchasing power. The ripple effects of a successful revaluation could extend far beyond the Middle East, potentially influencing trade dynamics from Europe to Asia. For investors and economists worldwide, it is being watched as a case study in how preparation, patience, and determined policy reform can combine to create monumental financial change. Let's circle back to the phrase that has come to dominate this week's headlines: banks are lighting up. This is not just a catchy slogan being used by commentators. It is intended as a literal description of what is allegedly happening in real time. According to these reports, internal banking systems, foreign exchange terminals, and digital currency platforms are registering live, dynamic activity for the IQD. For the first time in years, the data is reportedly not static. It is active. Numbers are said to be updating, and systems are preparing. The energy this has created inside the financial observation sector is unmistakable. People who have been tracking the dinar for a decade or more feel that the tide may be turning. This reported activity is being described as the digital equivalent of the lights coming on after a long night quiet, highly technical, but profoundly symbolic to those who understand its implications. The general consensus among these observers is that the pieces are in motion, and that is what makes this specific moment feel historic. Over the next few days, analysts and observers expect that more confirmation or evidence may surface from regional banking networks. As more systems allegedly go live with this test data, the rate information will become harder to contain within private networks. Eventually, the theory goes, public trading feeds will have to reflect what is already visible behind the scenes. When and if that happens, the mainstream media coverage will likely be immediate and widespread. As we wrap up today's broadcast, let's take a step back and appreciate the magnitude of what is reportedly unfolding. Iraq's currency, often written off as undervalued, is at the center of discussions about a potential transformation. The country's reported progress, the technology upgrades, and the international cooperation all point in one direction. While it is too early to know any final rate or exact timing, one thing is clear. A new movement in the data is being reported. The signs are no longer just speculative. They are being described as measurable and visible on internal systems. Finally, to everyone watching, the road for those following the dinar has been long. But today, the evidence being reported by numerous sources is compelling. The claim is that the banks are active, the rates are dynamic, and the system is alive. The narrative suggests something extraordinary is taking place, and Iraq is at the center of it. We will continue to monitor official sources and credible reports as they become available. Until then, thank you for watching Dinar Daily.